Hey everyone, welcome back to GameSpot's E3 stage. I'm Mike Mahardy here with Lucy James.
Hey!
We have seen a bunch of cool games today, and we are about to talk about Just Cause 4 with the game director, Francesco.
Hello everybody.
Thanks for joining us on stage.
Thank you for having me.
So what's it like showing off Just Cause 4 finally during the Square conference?
It's a great joy, I would say. It's now some time that we're working in the shadows because we wanted to keep this a reveal. And it has been incredibly refreshing and energizing to see the reaction of people, gamers, press, playing the game. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, so tell us about Just Cause 4. What can we expect for people who have played the series or might not have gotten the chance yet?
So for those who are fans of Just Cause, I can assure that they're going to find everything that they've loved from the previous games. And much, much more beyond that. When we started thinking about the game, the first thing that we did scan what player had to say about the game, comments, reviews, videos, and we based ourselves on that to create the new game. For everybody else, well, it's a very fun game. It's pretty unique. So I would say, dare to pick it up and play something different.
Do you think, because it's Just Cause 4, is it a good jumping in point for people who maybe haven't played the franchise before?
Oh yeah, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Any of the Just Cause is completely self-contained. Of course, there is a lore. So say you should play the previous one if you want to have a complete picture of things. But you can totally understand and enjoy the game without knowing anything about it. Yeah.
And then I'm curious, so you are returning to Rico again.
Say it again, sorry.
You're playing as Rico again.
Yes, you're playing as Rico, definitely.
So for someone who has played, like the previous games, what's going on in the story with this game?
I think that actually it's so this time around we are giving Rico a little bit more depth than in the previous games. So it will be a character that you will hopefully be able to relate to. Within the first minutes of the game. And then, I really hope that players will like the story and find it engaging.
So, and you're creating this huge open sandbox, and but you're also creating this story for players to follow. How do you kind of give them the freedom to do what they want, but also kind of nudge them on to do the story at the same time?
So there are a set of things that you do for that. First and foremost, you try to tell the story as much as possible through the world itself. Mm-hmm. So we are not, dumping a novel on the player before he actually plays the game. You will understand what's going on into this world just by traveling the world. That's one thing. The second thing, it's going a little bit away from a traditional and linear way of telling a story. And to that end, we went to great lengths to create a story that can be enjoyed in a non-linear fashion. So a player can actually choose the way that they, that they start and do their activities. And the order is not really important, as everything has been designed to make sense, no matter how you approach it.
And the weather effects are a big new feature this time around. Like we're seeing the tornado right now. Can you talk about how those change up the gameplay of Just Cause?
Or I would say in a radical way.
Yeah.
So what's cool about this, they're not just beautiful set pieces. It's not just a spectacle, but each one of the extreme weather event is actually completely physicalized. So it works within the sandbox. It interacts with the physics of the world, with Rico himself, and with all the other toys that the player can use within the world. It's something we are very proud of, and yeah.
So are they going to be, how will I know that there is a huge weather event going on? Is it going to be on the map? Is there going to be someone telling me over a radio? How do I know where all the chaos is going down?
You're going to see it.
I'll see it.
A tornado is pretty imposing. So we have a world that is pretty varied. Like we have 4 distinct biomes. There is a specific event that characterizes each biome. So for example, the tornado is roaming the grasslands, or you're going to have a sandstorm in the desert. They are big. They are big as everything else in our game. Just Cause has always been a game where scale had a primary role. if anything, because you move really fast, either using vehicles, using your wingsuit, so you need a lot of ground to cover. And as a consequence, also threats, landmarks need to be big, and that's why the tornado, sandstorm, blizzards.
So outside of the weather, what else is changing? What are like minor or major in terms of the mechanics of the game? What's going on in Just Cause 4 that will people will recognize as different if they played 3?
Well, let's talk about the grappling hook.
Yeah.
Kind of Rico hallmark. The grappling hook has been evolved since the very first episode of the series. Like, you Just Cause 1, where the grappling hook is something that you have to equip. So you got your grappling hook, and now you can't use weapons anymore. In Just Cause 2, the grappling hook becomes an integral part of Rico. So now it's this, primary means of transport, if you want, freeing his hands. In Just Cause 3, we started giving the player the abilities of interacting with the physics through the grappling hook, through the retract. And players love that. So we doubled down on that with Just Cause 4. And in Just Cause 4, the grappling hook, it's a proper, toy to interact with the sandbox. You are going to have a variety of attachments. So beyond the retractor, we are putting boosters and airlifters on the balloon, the airlifters on the grappling hook. You're going to be able to change parameters for each one of those, and you are going also to be able to apply modifiers that change the way that each attachment works. And all of these things can be made however you want. So it ends up offering a billion of different combinations and different ways to interact with the world. So that, I would say, it's one of the primary innovations when it comes to Rico. For sure, it's not the only one. Another thing that you're going to notice immediately, especially if you come from one of the previous games, as you take the controllers in your hand, is that the combat and the shooting model have completely changed. First of all, we have a proper iron sight this time, so by pressing your left trigger, you're gonna, get that familiar reaction that you have in other third-person shooters. A complete new roster of weapons now come with primary and secondary fire. Secondary fire is engineered to be something fun to discover, like we have weapons that shoot drones, for example. And a completely new park of enemy, including completely new additions. So this time we don't have just humans, if you want. We got drones that we're featuring into the game with the explicit goal of giving tougher challenge to Rico when he's wingsuiting around. We've got turrets that works as a sort of mini bosses, and all a variety of other stuff.
So since Just Cause 3's release, it's been incredibly popular online because it's this incredible sandbox where people can just do anything and like film the chaos and post it online, and it's given the game a really long tail. Were you looking at like what the community was doing when you're coming up for ideas for Just Cause 4?
Yes, as I was said before, that was an integral part of the conception process. So we really spent time watching all the videos, all the comments, and we also approached Just Cause 4 in order to make it as Twitch and YouTube friendly as possible. We are very aware of that, and it's one we are tapping on this part of the game because we believe it can really be used as a tool to express yourself with explosions.
Based on the trailer, it seems like there's maybe a more grim tone to the story, or maybe that's just what I took from it, because Just Cause to me is always about like the playground.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Can you talk about maybe is there a tonal shift going on, or is
no, definitely, you're totally right. I wouldn't use grim as a word. But we told ourselves we can keep all the insanity of the game within the game itself and try to build a story this time around that it's plausible, rather, plausible and a little bit afar from the cliché that have characterized the previous games. This goes in the same direction, about giving Rico a little bit more depth, if you want. So two things there. Solis, which is the world where Just Cause 4 is set, is the place of birth of the Black Hand. And we took this choice because we wanted to have an anchor and something to refer to the previous games, so that you come from the series and you're going to discover something about the Black Hand. You've probably been wondering about it. You've seen them in Just Cause 3, Just Cause 2, Just Cause 1. And on the other side, exactly, building a story that goes a little bit more into the character, into Rico's past, into closing loose ends that we had opened with the previous game. And hopefully, by doing this, we're going to satisfy also that part of players that have asked for a more mature storytelling, if you want.
Just Cause 3 had, on PC at least, had multiplayer added in after its release. Are there any plans for multiplayer in Just Cause 4?
No, not at the moment, at least. We wanted to focus on an extraordinary single-player experience. That's what we did. I don't exclude that in the future, though. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Francesco, when can people watching expect to play Just Cause 4?
Say it again, sorry. It's very noisy.
That's all right. Yeah, there's like house music blaring right near our stage. When can people play Just Cause 4?
What the people play?
When can people play?
Oh, when can people play? December the 4th.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on stage, and congratulations for being able to finally show off the game.
Thank you. Thank you.
And everybody watching, don't go anywhere. We will be right back after a momentary break. We'll be talking about Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. We'll see you then.